Hello, this is Mark Denham, radio presenter, audio producer, podcaster, and voiceover. Today on the audio journey, we're looking at the importance of good quality audio in terms of your podcast. Now, it may very well be that you know what you're doing in terms of production, and that's fine. That's fine. Carry on. There are plenty of podcasts who are self-produced, and they sound great. There are some, however, who sound not so great. And there are plenty of podcast producers who can work with you to improve your recording and also produce your podcast for you professionally, to make the edits, to do the mix down, and to make sure everything is hitting the right loudness standards, add all your ID tags, add your artwork, and deliver it back to you. So all you have to do is upload it to your host. That is something that I can do for you. If you are interested in starting a podcast, you're thinking, do you know what? I know my topic, but I don't know my audio. That is something that I can do for you. But there are some tips that you should follow in terms of recording your podcast. Now, I have a blank file here in Adobe Audition, and I'm going to start a new file now. And I want a stereo file for the purposes here. Okay, so I will call this podcast recording. All right, there we are, podcast recording. Now, when I hit record, you will see that I am peaking just slightly quiet. So I'm just going to just slightly change the gain. And there we are. That's decent quality audio now. But then my guest says something on a different microphone or on Skype or Zoom, and they will come up in the same recording. To get a decent podcast, I'm going to stop this recording now for a moment. To get a decent podcast, you want to be able to process each track individually. So when the host speaks, you want to be able to look at the host and you want to be able to go in. You want to be able to apply any EQ that you need to, apply any compression that you need to. And that's how you do it. If you have two people, a host and a guest, or two hosts, and they both come out in one file using a different microphone, that then makes it much more difficult for you or for the producer to EQ and compress your podcast so it sounds good. What would I suggest? If you are using, let's say, the Focusrite 2i2, what you can do when you go into your audio preferences, my 2i2 is not connected at the moment, but what you can do when you go into your audio preferences is you can set microphone 1 to be the left input and microphone 2 to be the right input, and then the host will come up here and the guest will come down there. Later on, you can pull that into a multi-track and you can edit the two individual channels. So you can EQ and you can compress. Equally, if you're using a mixer, let's say, and that's not an option, you have one more option. And I'm only here on my own, so I don't have a guest. Let me start recording now. You can see the host and the guest will come up in this stereo wave file on both tracks. But what you can do if you have a mixer is you can just pan. So now I am just recording on the left. I can pan my co-host or my guest, whether that's another microphone or whether that's whether that's also using, let me just put this back in the middle, whether that's also using Skype or Zoom. If you're using VB audio cable or loopback, you can pan them to just come up on the right-hand channel. Again, then when I pull this into the multi-track session, and I will just call this podcast example, I can now open a podcast example. And if you look here, I can drop down and I can have the left channel there and the right channel there. So you can see here where I have panned just to the left, that's just me talking. So now I am just recording on the left. But that's coming out in stereo because of the multi-track processing. That's the way to do it. The guest will then come out because they're panned exclusively to the right. They will then come out on the right. So let's go in here and we will go into this file, and I'm just going to delete this. Just for a moment, I'm going to delete this. That's fine. And I'm just going to record something, okay? Hello, this is the host talking. And this is the guest talking. Okay, so there we are. I've done a quick example there. Don't need that. Don't need that. Let's go back into our multi-track session now, and you can see here that we have, hello, this is the host talking. And this is the guest talking. We now have the option that we can go in here, we can apply some compression, we can apply some EQ, and we can do whatever we need to do with each individual track. So a top tip for you, if you are hosting your own podcast and editing your own podcast, then get each track separately. Maybe you have a multi-track mixer where you can just go in here and you can click to assign channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4 for the different microphones, or for Skype or for Zoom. So you get each one on a different channel. But if you are producing yourself, or if you're handing this off to a producer to produce, always try and supply the individual files here, or you can supply one which is panned left and right, and the producer can then work with that. Top tip for you, if you are recording your podcast, get different tracks, and then each track can be EQ'd and compressed and worked on to sound the best it can, which ups the quality of your podcast. If you are producing your own podcast, I hope this helps. If you are, as I say, thinking, do you know what, I'm going to start a podcast and I know loads about whatever your topic is, crack on, record it, and then get it produced. You can contact me via markdenham.com. I will put the link in, and you can contact me. That'll be in the description, and I can produce your podcast for you, be it one episode, be it a series of episodes. I can produce that for you. But always remember, when you're recording, try and follow these basic principles where you either record in the multi-track and you assign a track to each different recording source, your host, your guest, Skype, Zoom, so you have a different recording track that you can then edit and make sound great. Or if you can't do that, pan it left and right. If there's a host and a guest, pan it left and right, so you can then go. You can edit them and you can process them to sound great. Have fun with this. If you are thinking of starting a podcast, it's a load of fun, and I wish you the very best of luck. Go away and make some amazing audio.